Welcome to Daily Success. Listen in on these personal conversations with today's leaders, innovators, and influencers as they discuss daily success principles, systems, and solutions. Get ready for Daily Success. Now, here's your host.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Gary Gerber. Gary is on a mission to utilize the breakthrough science of life force energy to increase bioavailability, unleash latent potential, and promote abundance to help people enjoy a sense of profound well-being. Gary is a healing clinician who focuses on helping people find satisfying solutions so they can live a richer, fuller life. As a healing clinician, Gary's passion is to help people achieve higher levels of functioning and relational wellness. Throughout his career as a marriage and family therapist, his curiosity and tenacious spirit have motivated him to pursue new and ever-evolving forms of treatment that positively influence one's inner state of being. For more than 30 years, as a successful marriage and family therapist, Gary has conducted a successful private practice in marriage and family therapy. He has led seminars and workshops on conflict resolution throughout his career, addressing immediate challenges while getting to hidden issues that cause problems and conflicts. So with that, I'm going to welcome you, Gary, and I'm really excited because today we're going to talk about something that is really important, and I'm really interested in your take on gratitude.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here again.
So, Gary, gratitude is something that many people, they think it means be thankful. Is it really deeper than that? What do you think?
Well, certainly it is about thankfulness, but gratitude is kind of a hard thing to describe because it's really an intention. It's really, people don't just happen to be grateful. I mean, some people are more grateful than others, but gratitude is really about noticing, really about paying attention to and affirming the goodness in life. It's about coming to grips with the fact that there is goodness around us. Like, even though some awful things are happening, there's a lot of good as well. And gratitude is about really focusing on that and then being grateful for it. So to be grateful, it really means that we recognize what's going on around us, that we're tuning in, we're mindful of what's happening, and then we can be grateful for those things. It's so easy to overlook all of that and to get caught up in our crazy busy world that really focuses on negativity and fear more than anything else, and the need to acquire and have things. And that's really the antithesis of gratitude. Gratitude is really about noticing the good things in life, the things that we can embrace and that really fund us and that really help us to get through life.
So with that, so if we're more mindful and we notice the good things, and I know the world today, it is so easy to just get sucked into the rabbit hole of negativity because the news is just full of the strife, I guess, that's happening around the world. And you live in Canada, I live in the United States, so we seem to, there's always something in the news. So if you were to talk to somebody about how gratitude works in their life, how would you discuss it with them beyond just being mindful? Would you be able to give them like an outline of how to put gratitude into their life if they're not really sure how to or what it is?
Yes, I do this all the time with my clients, actually. I talk with them about gratitude. I deal with addicts quite a bit in my practice, and one of the antidotes to what they're struggling with is gratitude, to help them to be grateful. Now, I want to give credit to probably the leading researcher in gratitude on the planet, and that's Dr. Robert Emmons from University of California, Davis campus. He's spent the last 15 years or so of his life really focusing and researching this whole question of gratitude. And so a lot of what I say today, I just take my hat off to him, because I think he really has gotten a great handle on this. And also the other person that's been great in my life is Mr. Trivedi, who talks about gratitude all the time, and how essential and how central it is to really feeling the other emotions and the other kinds of virtues that we need to be practicing in order to grow in our awareness and grow in our consciousness. So, yes, I would talk to people about what they can do. One of the things let me tell you a bit about the research, because I think that helps lead us into that. Dr. Emmons worked with people, and he said, well, how can we do the research on this? So what he did was he selected two groups of people. One group, it was the task was to focus on things that they're grateful for, and to focus on that for 10 minutes a day. The other group was supposed to focus on all the bad things that happened in their day. And what he found was that the group that focused on gratitude and just named 5 things a day and talked about why they were grateful for those things, that those people showed immense kinds of improvements in many areas of life. The first one was in the psychological area. They became more alert, they were more alive, they were more awake. Their hostility was reduced, depression was reduced. They had higher levels of achievement in things that they were trying to achieve. They were much more resilient to trauma. Those are just some of the psychological benefits that came about from his research. Then there were physical benefits, because they actually looked at those as well. And they found that people that were grateful 10 minutes a day, and after 3 weeks of just noting this, they noticed already these kinds of results. That people who were grateful took greater care of themselves. They exercised more. They slept longer and were more refreshed, so it really enhances one's sleep. Their blood pressure was lower. They were less likely to smoke and abuse alcohol than people who were not grateful. They adhered more to taking medications that were prescribed, so they were more faithful about that. Their kidney function increased, and the creatinine levels were lower. These are some of the physical payoffs for being grateful. And then there were some social benefits he found as well. He found that people were more sensitive to other people around them. People who were grateful were more generous. They were more compassionate and more ready to help other people out who needed their help. So that, with that background, I often tell people, this is what the research showed, and here's what you can do. You can keep a gratitude journal on a daily basis. It takes you about 10 minutes. I suggest at the end of the day, and I prescribe this for a lot of my clients. And I say to them, write down things that you are grateful for, 5 or 6 things, and why that is helpful to you. And when clients do that, they do very well with this. And I also noticed some great results with this. It's one of the antidotes to the fear that they often feel, or the anxiety, or the depression, because being grateful really helps lift us out of the depths of what we're struggling with, and help us see that there is good in the world, and helps us focus on those things. There's a lot of value, it seems to me, in focusing on the good, and a lot of wonderful things can flow from that. If we focus on the negative, it drags us down. It does really awful things to our bodies, to our minds, to our social relationships, and other things. So that's one of the ways that I would suggest people can utilize this.
So I like that idea, because I have a friend who says that before she gets out of bed in the morning, she actually will, just count out a few things that she's grateful for before she even gets out of bed. And she says it actually improves how her day goes, because she starts out being grateful for the day. And then I can see how if you do that at night too, before you go to bed, that's going to help clear your mind so that you can get a good night's restful sleep, because you're expressing that gratitude. And I imagine, if you think about it, I can see how your body, because of the chemicals that come from being happy versus being sad, how your body would benefit from that, and how all of that is able to be scientifically measured. So
Yeah.
I had a question related to gratitude. I know you mentioned Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, and he talks about gratitude as being like a foundational thing that needs to happen before you can actually be spiritually connected to the God of understanding. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I was in his workshop just recently where he talked about that, and yes, and as I was doing some research on this topic, I noticed that Cicero, the great philosopher, said, "Get this: gratitude is not only the greatest of all virtues; it is the parent of all others." Isn't that interesting? Because that's exactly what Mr. Trivedi was saying yesterday, that if you don't have gratitude, you can't experience the other virtues either. We won't be as alert. We won't be as devoted. We won't be able to experience those other things. So the gratitude is really central to being honest, or being devoted to someone else, or even noticing and giving them the just due that they deserve. That gratitude really tunes us in. And I've thought about this. I was thinking about this as I was reflecting on this subject. It seems to me like the part of gratitude that is so helpful is the fact that we have to be mindful. And we have to be mindful of other people we're around, people who deserve our respect, people who deserve our regard, and that we tune into that, and that we don't take it for granted and just brush by and not notice. To be grateful, I think, helps us also to realize what opportunities are out there for us. That if we're tuned in and grateful in every moment, that it really helps us to see what's available that we can have, that we can enjoy, that will help us to flourish as individuals. So gratitude, the practice of gratitude and doing it every day is one thing, but I think ultimately the hope would be that every moment is a moment of gratitude. It's a prayer of thanks. And Mr. Trivedi talks about that, and how that the gratefulness is really central to really feeling those other things. And he says that on the other side of gratefulness, if we can be honest, and if we can be non-manipulative and real and devoted and willing to sacrifice, that on the other side of that, then is that we will learn how to love, and we will experience that, and that we'll be on the side of justice and truth. And in a world where we have so little of that right now, that's, I think, a healing antidote to what's going on.
You mentioned that you work a lot with people who have addictions, and also I was, so you have people who are trying to cope using whatever drugs or sex or whatever they're addicted to, and then of course you have children who are being raised by people who have, it seems like somewhere along the way, a lot of people have just started to accept that the world is mean and cruel, and everybody lies and manipulates. So it's almost like they're like, oh, well, if he does it or she does it, it's okay. How do you tell these people who are coming from like this addiction place of addiction, or this place of not having good role models, how do you even broach the topic of gratitude and mindfulness so that people understand it? Because I understand about being mindful, and that gratitude is the foundation or the parent of all these other virtues. And it's interesting because if you think of the virtues, most people, if we had good parents, they told us, to be honest and truthful and grateful. Yet gratefulness to me, I don't remember really getting any real education in gratitude. It was more about, say your prayers, and just like prayers, most prayers are, "Dear God, please give me this." Not,
Yeah.
"God, thank you," other than, we make a lot of fun of our saying grace, and again, I think so many of us, because our families aren't, people don't sit around the table as much as they used to, and everything. So when you're talking to people, how do you broach this topic to get people to start um, living in this way on a moment by moment, day by day, besides the journaling?
Well, when I'm dealing with addictions is always based in lies. There's a lot of cover up because there's so much shame. So one of the first things in dealing with addiction is to say rigorous honesty is the order of the day. And if people can't do that, they can't stay sober, whatever their addiction is. And so honesty is really, really very central that we look at that. But then, it's kind of what's chicken and what's egg here. Gratefulness helps people maybe to be honest, but honesty certainly might help people to be grateful as well. And to be honest means you reflect on what's going on inside of you, that you're mindful. And once people can do that, and once people realize that there's a way out of the predicament that they're in and the terrible pain that they're suffering, then they start to be grateful. And then I move to gratefulness and help them do the gratefulness journey. But it's not the initial thing that I would do with an addict, because there are some other things we have to do first, which is to help get them sober so that they can move into some of these more advanced states of being. Now, in where there aren't addictions, I often say to couples, I'd like you to spend time this week and offer 3 appreciations to each other. Notice 3 things that you really appreciate, because there's always things that we can appreciate in someone if we put our minds to it. But so often they get drowned in the drama of life and the drama of the coupleship, so that if people start to be intentional and reflect on that, it's really helpful to pull them out of that quagmire that they're in and help them to move into another space and another level of their interaction. So that's one of the ways that I do it. The moment has to be right in therapy with these people to introduce these things. Sometimes there are other things that are more pressing, but I introduce them as early as I can, because to start thinking positively is really so important. The marital research shows that it takes between 5 and 20 positives to undo 1 negative. That's the power of the negative. So gratefulness helps us to focus on that and to rise above it.
Wow, I didn't realize negativity was that strong, but I can see, because I know just from my personal experience that if someone said something mean to me, it takes a lot for me to conquer that feeling that they created in me, even if they try to be nice later, because the trust has been broken. That more than likely they're just saying nice things to you now because they know that they broke some trust barrier.
Yeah.
But gratitude, I mean, I know that I have another friend who, that's her whole gratitude is like, she created a whole business around gratitude, because it's so important to get people to recognize it and to live with that daily gratitude. So besides becoming very mindful and appreciating other people and journaling, what are some other ways that people can start to learn how to live in gratitude And what are the benefits beyond the, I know obviously there are benefits to gratitude, but what are they?
Well, I noticed some of them already, like the psychological benefits, the physical benefits, and the social benefits that people will get along better with one another. They have a higher regard for one another if they're grateful. The physical benefits that I mentioned, the sleep, the blood pressure, it's just good for us physically to be grateful. Our bodies respond well to it, and psychologically, we're much more alive, alert, and awake. So those are just some of the physical benefits and psychological benefits and social benefits. You're wondering what other things people could do? Well, they could. The gratitude journal is a big one. They can read on it. They could also get into any kind of mindfulness activities, because being mindful will help us to think about things that are good in our life. Like one family kept a gratitude jar, and they would put their extra change in their pockets in it. And at the end of the time, when the jar grew full, then they gave it to a cause. They sat down and they thought, who would maybe need this or benefit from it, and they gave it to people in the community that needed it. Now, this way, we're teaching our children also that gratitude is important, and we're paying attention to the values that they're learning and taking on. What the research shows is that when children do gratitude, that their GPA average goes up slightly. And this is children that were 8 years of age. So they're very early in life. The gratitude can be learned and with already great benefits. And I don't know if there's any research that has been done on the physical benefits for children, but certainly the educational benefits and the learning benefits have been touted here as part of that, one of the great benefits of being grateful.
Wow. Well, obviously, gratitude it sounds to me like it's foundational in body, mind, and spirit, because it affects all things in a positive way. So if somebody wanted to talk to you and learn more about how to work with you, how can they do that?
Well, they can reach me at get to me at my website, healingwithgary.com, or they can call me at 403-270-8824.
Okay, and before I let you go, Gary, is there anything you'd like to add about gratitude and mindfulness?
Well, Mr. Trivedi talks so much about being like the lotus flower, and it's the one image that came to me so strongly as I was thinking about this. He says that we should all be like lotus flowers. And as we know, the lotus flower is a flower that grows in the sewage. It grows in an area and flourishes in an area where there's lots of negative kinds of things that it could take on. But the lotus flower is very intelligent and is very aware, and it only takes that which serves its purpose, serves its function. So it only takes on the nutrients that will help it to thrive and live as a flower. And it seems to me, when we're mindful, that's the kind of image we're shooting for. That's the kind of goal we're shooting for. That is to be like lotus flowers, where we allow the sewage to remain, but take out the nutrients that will help heal us and help lift us to where we want to go. To be grateful, I think, is to live like the lotus flower, where we're aware of what's going on. We take the good stuff and we leave the bad. And then when we take the good stuff and we can flourish, we can also give back to society more. We can give to our friends, our loved ones more. We can be more available. We can be much happier ourselves. Our achievements will probably be affected because the research shows that. And so I think to be mindful is the thing I would leave. Just be mindful, pay attention. That image of the lotus flower is one that I would like to leave with us, because I think it's so powerful in helping shape how we behave, how we are, and how we interact with ourselves, with God, and with each other.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Well, thank you for spending time with me today, Gary. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's been great to chat with you again.
Everyone, it's healingwithgary.com. You can connect with Gary and find out more about what he does and how he works with people. Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Daily Success. Tune in again and subscribe. Never miss a moment of daily success.